So I've built a proven system that has helped hundreds of Asian men rebuild their health, their energy, their confidence without cutting out carbs and while staying aligned with our culture. And in this video, I'll be breaking it down for you step by step. Now, you've probably tried starving yourself on Western diets, doing keto, carnivore, fasting, OMAD. Maybe you've even worked with a personal trainer in the past. But here's the thing, Asian men are a little bit different because you need to understand that our carb metabolism is different. Our testosterone, it tends to decline a little bit earlier, and Asian men tend to store more visceral fat. And I'm not just making this up, this is all backed by studies and research, you can look it up. So we've been able to do this by using real world data from 500 plus Asian clients that we work with to build a system that meets our genetics, our metabolism, and our culture. Take a look at Dex, for example. He's 42 years old, he's a former Navy and now a full-time tech specialist. In the past, he was actually sent to the ICU from doing keto, carnivore, and overtraining. We have CJ, who's 46, and Teddy at 31. He's no longer pre-diabetic, his blood pressure are at normal levels, and he even proposed to his fiance after rebuilding his confidence. What works for other cultures, it doesn't work for us. So we like to focus on training smarter, not harder. Step one is a strategy call. This will dive into where you are now, where you want to get to, why it's important, what's stopping you from getting there, and how we can fix it. The next step is the onboarding call. We'll go over a comprehensive breakdown of your lifestyle, understanding your schedule and your current eating habits, looking at injuries and limitations as well. Now, we use this information to create version one. If you want, pause the video, take a screenshot of some of the key considerations we look at as an activity to help you audit your own life and identify what changes you can make or what are the easiest changes to make to get the best results and best outcome. Step two is program design. Now, for an average Asian sedentary male, maintenance calories generally fall around 1,700 to 2,000 calories per day. But that also depends on your age, your height, your weight, and your body composition. For Western men, sedentary maintenance calories typically fall around 2,000 to 2,400 calories per day, roughly 200 to 400 calories more. So why is it lower for Asian men? Well, Asian men tend to have lower average muscle mass compared to Western counterparts. And based on data, Asian men typically have lower resting metabolic rates. When it comes to specifically just weight loss, it's all about a mathematical equation. So let's reverse engineer the process. 1 pound of fat is 3,500 calories. So for an average sedentary Asian male, and you want to lose 1 pound per week, you want to be eating 1,500 calories per day. And if you want to aim for 2 pounds per week, it's about 1,000 calories per day, which really isn't a lot of food. And I don't recommend eating that little because that will have a huge impact on your hormones, which will just cause a huge domino effect, making the weight loss process even more difficult. So how do we increase our maintenance and make sure our body is getting the nutrients it needs to function, to grow, to repair? By simply increasing your step count to maybe 10,000 per day, that increases your maintenance to maybe 23 to 24. So if you want to lose 1 pound per week, it's 2,000 calories, which is a lot more realistic than 1,500. That's equivalent to an extra meal. And if you want to lose 2 pounds per week, you're looking at 1,400 calories per day. Now, if you add exercise on top of that, your maintenance is now 2,700 calories. If you want to lose 1 pound per week, that's now 2,200 calories. 2 pounds per week is 1,700 calories. 700 calories is a significant amount of food. That's about 2 extra meals, maybe even 3. Now, if you increase your muscle mass by 10 pounds, which will obviously take some time, your maintenance goes up an extra 70 calories. Now, this is just one way to do it. There are many different ways to manipulate and change your caloric intake and your metabolic rate. It's very dependent on your specific situation, and I typically share this with my clients. Now, to begin the process, we establish your baseline through our custom built calculator and make manual adjustments based on your physical composition. You guys can have access to that. I've left the link in the description below. Now, use this tool to calculate your starting point, and of course, this will be subject for change based on your physical response within the first 7 to 14 days. Constant recalculations are important in order to avoid potential plateaus. And when it comes to plateaus, here's what we typically look out for. Starting with scale weight, if you don't see any change, and I'm talking even 0.5 pounds, 0.25 kilograms for 2 consecutive weeks, despite full adherence, that's a red flag. Another red flag would be no change in waist, hips, or other tract sites for an additional 2 weeks. If you constantly have low energy, poor recovery, and feel flat during training, that's not a great sign either. If your hunger is extremely low or extremely high, signs of possible metabolic adaptation or signs of undereating. And if not managed correctly, this can impact your hormones, making the whole process more difficult. So how do we fix this? This is purely dependent on the situation. If your training is still strong, but your fat loss has stalled, reduce your daily calories by 100 to 150 calories per day, primarily from carbs or fats. Keep your protein the same. If you're experiencing excessive fatigue or hormonal red flags, hold your calories at the same intake for about 1 to 2 weeks before making or before continuing your deficits. Once we know how much to eat, we need to figure out what to eat and when to eat. Throughout our process, we like to start with minor changes, working with your life and not against it. So for this specific client, we started with 3 meals in accordance to his mealtime. Later, once he becomes a little bit more comfortable and familiar with the new structure, we increase meal frequency to optimize recovery, protein synthesis, digestion, etc. There are two really important meals throughout the day. It's a pre-workout meal, which is typically 30 minutes to 90 minutes before, and you want to be allocating 25 or 35% of your daily carbs here. This is for fueling your training sessions so you can lift heavier and push harder, and you want to combine that with protein for better muscle preservation. An example of a pre-workout meal could be rice and chicken, cream of rice. If you enjoy eating white rice or candy, anything high in sugar, now is a perfect time to consume it. These are called simple carbohydrates, and it's a lot easier for your body to digest and convert it into energy, which will help your training performance, especially when you're eating at lower calorie levels. The second most important meal that I'd argue is a post-workout meal, which is typically 1 to 2 hours. Now, although the anabolic window doesn't really exist, it still can assist with training, recovery, and performance. You want to consume the other 25 or 35% of your carb intake here. The purpose of it is to really replenish your glycogen, speeds up your recovery, and reduce muscle breakdowns. With the remaining carbohydrates throughout the day, you want to spread that out. I typically recommend eating a meal every 3 to 4 hours if your schedule allows and if your appetite allows. Alternatively, some of our guys like to eat 3 meals a day, sometimes 2. I would typically recommend eating anywhere from 4 to 6. I do recommend including your carbs in meals where you need more focus or energy. So it could be before work or maybe after work when you get home, but you don't want to overdo it because too much carbohydrates can make you feel a little bit sluggish and sleepy. To give you a bit more context, let me walk you through Efrain, one of our clients, what his meal plan looks like. So all our clients will get access to the spreadsheet, which has been all custom built, and everything has been tailored towards their lifestyle. At the bottom, you'll see MP1 and MP2, which essentially stores different meals just for a bit more variation. Meal times are set based on his daily routine, what time he wakes up, what time he goes to sleep, what time he goes to the gym, his work break times as well. So for breakfast, Efren is having a tortilla wrap with turkey bacon, some cheese. For his pre-workout, he's having some Rice Krispies just to aid with performance and curb sweet tooth as well. And at the very end of the day, around 7 p.m., he'll have a beef loaded potato bowl. All our clients also get a comprehensive grocery list telling them exactly what to purchase, how much to purchase throughout the week, just to make that process easier. I've also attached links for every product. It will redirect you to either Walmart, Target, or other stores in your area. So this is actually our friend, and that's him eating a hamburger. Again, we don't want you to feel restricted. A diet does not need to feel like a diet if you know how food works. We have burritos, homemade burgers, mini tacos, wraps, and for our Filipinos out there, we have a spam McMuffin. Now, meal prep only takes 1 to 2 hours per week if done correctly. And if you don't even have time to do that, we do have clients eating ready-made meals and takeaway. I don't usually recommend that, but when you understand your calorie, macro, and micro requirements, you can get away with it. As mentioned before, we do conduct a full hormone breakdown, and I can create a separate video explaining to you what each parameter or biochemistry indicates. Next is your training protocols. So let me go over what doesn't work. So when doing a chest day, a back day, an arm day, you only allow each muscle group to be trained once a week. The reason it doesn't really work is because, again, we have lower muscle mass and slower protein synthesis, meaning you need a little bit more frequent stimulus around 2 to 3 times per week in order to grow effectively. Very common problem that a lot of people make is not tracking their performance. We don't have a genetic buffer to grow without a plan. So every rep, every weight increment matters a lot more for us. When it comes to you actually designing your program, here are a few rules to remember. So when it comes to training split, base your split on recovery capacity, ability to adhere, and your work schedule. If you have low recovery and limited time, focus on 3 to 4 days a week, dividing it into full body or upper lower splits. If you have moderate recovery and you can train 4 to 5 times per week, I would include a upper lower or push-pull legs, and you can repeat and focus or maybe add more volume on weak points. If your body has the ability to recover high and your schedule is fairly consistent, I would usually recommend a 5-day split. I wouldn't do more than that. If you do a 6-day, it's more for active recovery and more things for mobility. When it comes to exercise selection, specifically for Asian men, I like to prioritize back, your posterior chain, and your shoulders. And the exercises would be based on your composition, your limitations, your skill, and your recovery. If you have high body fat and low experience, I usually start you guys off with machines and more simple movement patterns. For people that are more experienced, really focus on fiber recruitment and intensity. Now, volume, intensity, and progression is another key factor to consider. So here's some basic rules for you guys. Exercises per session, 4 to 6. Duration, 60 to 75 minutes. Sets per session, 10 to 16, depending on ability to recover, which is also influenced by intensity. Your rep range is typically from 15 to 8 reps per exercise. When it comes to progression, you want to hit your rep target with 1 rep in reserve, and then from there, you can increase your weight load the next week. Every 6 to 8 weeks, I recommend a deload, which is essentially a week where you strip training volume and intensity by 50%, or alternatively, when biofeedback shows physical fatigue. Cardio, I'd start with 8 to 10,000 steps, and you can progress later in different phases. Now, what should you do for recovery? Schedule rest days based on your busiest and stressful days. You want to include mobility and warm-up protocols, maybe 5 to 10 minutes each session. I like to do feeler sets. You also want to implement solid pre-bed routines and habits. You want to track your soreness, your energy, and your motivation each week as well. And you want to be making sure you're hitting a minimum of 2 rest days per week. I know it sounds like a lot of information and a lot of data to track, but that's the reality if you want to optimize progression. So to simplify the whole process, we compiled everything into the Evolution app. Your training program will be laid out. All you need to do is show up, click start. I've included videos as well, breaking it down step by step, frame by frame, explaining the biomechanics so you understand what it is you're supposed to be targeting and how to execute it correctly. You can even use the app to log your food. There's a barcode scan feature to make things a bit more convenient. There's also performance trackers, and all this data gets sent over to us. And from there, we make the manual adjustments and explain to you the changes and the whys. With that information, we go over it with you every week so you understand the process and teach you the biomechanics and mental frameworks to help you optimize your journey. On top of all that, I host weekly group classes covering training, nutrition, and psychological theory to help make the process a lot more sustainable and more manageable. I know that was a lot to take in, but I hope you found this video informative and educational. I highly recommend playing it back, taking some notes, so that way you can do it yourself. But if you don't want to waste more time, more energy, and more effort, you can book a call with me and my team. We'll have a look at what you're doing right now, what you're doing wrong, and what you need to be doing instead. If you do plan on joining the program, just a quick disclaimer, we can't work with everyone, especially those who like to blame everyone else but themselves. They blame their job, their wife, their schedule, their genetics, and have that victim mentality. Now, if that sounds like you, this probably isn't going to work out. We're probably not going to click. I also don't like working with people who are just not coachable. I don't care how much money you make or how much you earn or how much you think you. If you're just the type of person who argues with every suggestion, half listens, or thinks you already know everything, this probably isn't for you. I don't want your money. And if you're going to disrupt the culture I built or disrespect the coaches who actually loves what they do, this isn't going to work out. Just go, please find someone else. I also can't work with people who have a broke mindset. And I'm not saying financially broke, I'm talking mentally broke. This is the type of person who says it's too expensive, but still eats out, parties on the weekends, and buys shit to impress people they don't even care about. I've had hundreds of these calls, and it's usually not a money problem, it's a mindset problem. So if you're the type of person who'd rather keep buying cheap shit that doesn't work and value cost over quality, we're probably not your people. Because our services range from 1,000 to 10,000 USD depending on the level of support and resources you need. It can be broken down into monthly installment options for as low as $200 a month. You can use Klarna, Afterpay, Affirm, Cash App, or we can even create a custom plan for you. If you actually want to make this work, but there's something that's holding you back, please just let us know so we can help you out. The worst thing you can do is to close up on the call because we can't help you if we don't know what the problem is. And for those of you that might feel a bit of a sticker shock, this is why mindset is so important. Because the thing is, you already spend the money, but you spend the money on things that pushes you further and further behind. And just looking at takeout, people typically spend $300 to $600 per month, which is about $3,600 to $7,200 per year. You're spending $2,400 to $6,000 per year on vacations, weekend trips, or car payments and insurance costing you up to $6,000 to $10,000 per year. And it's so easy for people to upgrade their cars or buy new cars every couple of years, but they just ignore their body. Your coffee runs, your energy drinks, they add up as well, $60 to $150 per month. That's about $720 to $1,800 per year. And what's the cost of other alternatives? Personal trainers, 3 times a week, $1,000 to $1,500 per month. Nutritionists or gym memberships, $800 to $1,200, and there's medical weight loss clinics, weight loss medication only alternatives. But the problem with these substitutes is that it doesn't give you a complete system, and it doesn't teach you how to actually turn it into a lifestyle and something you can do forever. But the biggest thing that people don't look at is the true cost of inaction. the opportunity cost, missed experiences and potential opportunities, not being able to have the energy to play with your kids, or even losing career opportunities due to low energy and poor presence. You have your emotional costs, ongoing stress, regret, self-doubt, and of course, there's financial costs, increase in health insurance premiums, medication for blood pressure, diabetes, and cholesterol, which can be $2,000 to $6,000 per year. Not to mention medical bills for preventable conditions like strokes, heart attacks, diabetes, which can cost $10,000 to $50,000 over the next 10 years. And on top of that, the stress, the pain, the missed opportunities, it all adds. I hope you found this video helpful and valuable. I'll be posting a lot more content with frameworks I've created throughout my journey that I've also tested and implemented in hundreds of other Asian men like yourself. So if you're Asian and you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button for more value.